Picture this. You're in a room. In front of you is a panel of switches, each one marked with a voltage, starting low and going all the way up to a terrifying 450 volts, labeled XXX, danger, severe shock. In another room, a person you can't see is hooked up to electrodes. You're the teacher, and they're the learner. Every time they get a question wrong, a man in a grey lab coat standing next to you instructs you to deliver an electric shock, increasing the voltage each time. At 75 volts, the learner grunts. At 150, they demand to be let out of the experiment. At 285, the scream is one of pure agony. The man in the lab coat just looks at you, his face impassive, and says, "The experiment requires that you continue." What do? You probably think, "No way, I'd stop. I would never intentionally harm another human being just because some guy in a lab coat told me to." And that's what most people said before psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted this exact experiment at Yale University in the 1960s. But the results, they were shocking in more ways than one. Before he started, Milgram polled his colleagues, psychiatrists. They predicted that maybe 1% of participants, the true sadists, would go all the way to 450 volts. But they were wrong. Horribly wrong. In the first set of experiments, a staggering 65% of ordinary people just like you and me, obeyed the authority figure and delivered the maximum, potentially lethal shock. They were sweating, trembling, arguing with the experimenter, but they kept flipping the switches. Why? Why would good people do something so terrible? Milgram believed it was about the power of the situation. The experiment was at a prestigious university. The authority figure seemed legitimate. The responsibility, they were told, was on the experimenter, not on them. They were just following orders. Sound familiar? That phrase has been the excuse for some of the worst atrocities in human history. Milgram's experiment wasn't really about memory or learning. It was an attempt to understand how the Holocaust could have happened, how millions of ordinary German citizens could participate, either directly or indirectly, in a genocide. The chilling conclusion is that the line between good and evil isn't as clear as we'd like to believe. It's not about us versus them. Under the right or wrong circumstances, the capacity for both incredible kindness and horrifying cruelty exists in all of us. So the next time you're told to do something that feels wrong, no matter who's telling you, remember the lesson from that little room at Yale. Ask yourself, am I just following orders, or am I making a choice? Because in the end, that's the only thing that truly matters. Follow us today and help us grow.